Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and the situation with my family has taken some unexpected turns. I'm currently writing this from my dorm room at college, where I moved in last week, earlier than planned due to the tensions at home. After the initial confrontation about Nate's past, my parents spent several days in a state of shock and indecision. They consulted with a lawyer friend of theirs to understand the potential legal ramifications if Nate's involvement in the credit card fraud were to come to light. The lawyer advised them that while the statute of limitations might protect Nate from criminal charges, there could still be civil liabilities if any of the victims came forward. This information seemed to push my parents towards trying to handle the situation privately. They told Nate that in order to avoid potentially ruining his future, they would help him make amends, but with strict conditions. First, they insisted that he sell the food truck and use the money to start paying back what he had stolen, even if the victims were unaware. They also demanded that he seek counseling to address the issues that led him to make such poor decisions in the first place. Nate, realizing the gravity of the situation, agreed to their terms. He seemed genuinely remorseful, which was a new look for him. Over the next couple of weeks, he worked on selling the food truck and all the equipment. It was a difficult process, and he ended up taking a significant loss on the investment. During this time, I noticed a marked change in how my parents treated both of us. They became more attentive to me, asking about my plans for college and showing interest in my life in a way they never had before. With Nate, they were noticeably cooler, watching him with wary eyes as if they were seeing him for the first time. About 2 weeks ago, just as things seemed to be settling into a new normal, another bombshell dropped. Nate's ex-girlfriend, Melissa, showed up at our house unannounced. I was in the living room when she arrived, and I'll never forget the look of panic on Nate's face when he saw her. Melissa was furious. She revealed that she had recently discovered fraudulent charges on her credit card statement dating back to when she and Nate were together. She had done some digging and figured out that Nate must have been behind it. She threatened to go to the police if Nate didn't confess and pay her back immediately. Our parents, who were home at the time, overheard everything. They were shocked to learn that Nate's crimes extended to stealing from his own girlfriend. This revelation seemed to be the final straw for them. My dad, in a rare moment of putting his foot down with Nate, told him that he needed to confess everything to Melissa and work out a repayment plan with her. Nate, cornered and out of options, broke down and admitted to everything. He told Melissa about his involvement in the larger fraud scheme and how he had used her information as part of it. Melissa was devastated, alternating between crying and yelling at Nate for betraying her trust. In the end, my parents stepped in to mediate. They helped Nate and Melissa work out a repayment agreement, with my parents guaranteeing the payments to ensure Melissa would be fully compensated. In exchange, Melissa agreed not to press charges, though she made it clear that her relationship with Nate was over for good. This whole ordeal seemed to finally break through Nate's sense of entitlement. For the first time in his life, he was facing real consequences for his actions. He's been uncharacteristically quiet and withdrawn, spending most of his time working odd jobs to start paying back the money he owes. As for me, watching all of this unfold has been surreal. I feel a mix of vindication and sadness. While I'm glad Nate is finally facing consequences, seeing my family in such turmoil is harder than I expected. My parents, especially my mom, have been reaching out to me more, apologizing for years of overlooking Nate's behavior and my feelings. I decided to move into my dorm early to give myself some space from the family drama. My parents supported this decision, even helping me move in and making sure I had everything I needed. It feels strange to suddenly have their attention and support after years of being in Nate's shadow. I'm focusing on starting my college journey now, trying to put this chapter of family drama behind me. I still haven't told anyone that I was the one who initially exposed Nate's secret, and I plan to keep it that way. As I settle into my new life at college, I'm hopeful that this fresh start will allow me to build a future free from the shadow of my family's past mistakes. Update 3. It's been about 2 months since I started college, and I wanted to provide one final update on the situation with my family. A lot has changed, and I feel like I'm finally starting to move past the drama and focus on my own life. Nate's repayment process has been ongoing. He's been working multiple jobs to pay back Melissa and contribute to the fund our parents set up to repay his victims from the credit card scheme. It's been a humbling experience for him, and I've noticed a significant change in his attitude. He's quieter, more introspective, and seems to be genuinely trying to make amends for his past actions. My parents have also undergone a transformation. They've been attending family therapy sessions, both with and without Nate, to work through the issues that led to their enabling behavior. They've reached out to me several times to apologize for the years of favoritism and neglect. While it doesn't erase the past, I appreciate their efforts to make things right. As for me, I'm thriving in college. Being away from home has given me the space I needed to process everything that happened and start focusing on my own goals and aspirations. I've made new friends, joined some clubs, and I'm enjoying my classes. It feels liberating to be in an environment where I'm not constantly compared to Nate or overlooked. Last week, I received an unexpected call from my grandfather's lawyer. It turns out that there was a clause in the will that none of us knew about. My grandfather had stipulated that if any of his grandchildren were found to have engaged in criminal activity, their inheritance would be redistributed to the other grandchildren. Given Nate's confession, the lawyer informed me that I would be receiving Nate's share of the inheritance in addition to my original portion. I was stunned by this news. Part of me felt a sense of justice, like my grandfather had somehow known to protect me from beyond the grave. But another part of me felt conflicted, knowing that this would likely create more tension within the family. When I told my parents about this development, their reaction surprised me. Instead of defending Nate or trying to convince me to share the inheritance with him, they supported my right to keep it. They said that Nate's actions had consequences, and this was one of them. Nate, when he found out, was understandably upset. But to his credit, he didn't lash out or try to guilt me into sharing. He acknowledged that he had brought this on himself and said he hoped I would use the money wisely. I've decided to use the inheritance to pay for my college tuition and set aside the rest for graduate school or future investments. It feels empowering to have this financial security, especially knowing that I won't have to rely on my parents or worry about student loans. As I reflect on everything that's happened over the past few months, I realize that exposing Nate's secret had far-reaching consequences that I couldn't have anticipated. While it led to a period of intense family turmoil, it also sparked necessary changes and brought long-buried issues to light. I'm cautiously optimistic about the future of my relationship with my family. We're all learning to communicate better and respect each other's boundaries. I'm not sure if Nate and I will ever have a close sibling relationship, but we're at least on civil terms now. For now, I'm focusing on my studies and embracing the opportunities that college offers. I'm grateful for the chance to forge my own path and create a life that isn't defined by my family's past mistakes. Whatever the future holds, I feel better equipped to face it on my own terms.